Down an alley, a few turns off Main Strip, all the hustle and bustle of the crowd completely disappeared. We were on the 7th floor of an old mixed-use building. We were in Akihabara at the center of Tokyo in the middle of the day on a Sunday, and still the alleyway we'd come in seemed lonely and abandoned. There we found the shop Daru had told us about. Dangerous work. There's a cute anime-style sign on the steel door that read Cosplay Media at Akihabara. We're open, come on in. Fucking Christ, Daru. Fucking Christ. I'm out shopping with Luca, sorry, a bit busy. I'll meet up later. Where are you? Sorry, a bit busy. What happened? I'm about to have a bit of a long talk. With who? Daru. It's not something we can let a girl hear. I'm a guy, though. I can't let you hear it, Luca. You're too kind. It would knock you out of cold. Huh. Ocarine, don't do anything too weird. But you haven't done anything like that lately, so it kind of feels like old times. Sorry, has to be another time. No, sorry for bugging you. Talk to you later. Bye. Farewell. Poor Luca. God, that's a cute anime girl, though. I will say that. Fucking laundromat? The store was jam full of cosplay outfits. Wow, there are a lot. Good lord. The wall near the entrance held the new arrival corner of popular cosplay sections, as well as cosplay wigs, ribbons, jewelry, and props. The other wall held the used outfit section and a shoe selection stocked with shoes, school shoes, heels, and boots. Even further back, I could see rows of school swimsuits and competition swimming outfits. It looked like the place sold mainly to girls, but this clearly wasn't a location where women would feel comfortable. The other tenants in the building were all shady shops with names like Drops of Spirit God Inc., Space Radio, Receiver Sales, and Flower Petal Video Project.
君はここには来たことが？
いいえ、前に会った時は別の雑居ビルだったから。
そうか。
I felt like I'd seen Daru's dark side. The shop was completely silent. There was no customer other than us. There was a thin man with long hair at the counter who looked like he worked there, but he didn't even raise his head up from his magazine when we came in. To be honest, ever since I'd entered, I'd worried that someone would think I was up to something illegal. Anybody who saw me would think I was a pervert taking a middle school girl to a shady cosplay shop.
Oi, Ocarine, kochi!
Because you basically are. She's just not in middle school. Daru appeared from the back of the shop. There had been no sign of him a second ago.
つうか、マホタンも一緒だったんだね。
そのマホタンというのやめてくれないかしら。
なんで？かわいいじゃん。
バカにされている気分だわ。
そんなことより、ダル、お前どこから出てきた？
The men at the counter hadn't said anything, which meant they knew he was here.
とりあえずこっち。
Nothing like a good old front. Daru headed to the back of the store. One of the rows of the hanger racks holding idol cosplay outfits was pulled forward, and behind it I could see a curtain. Past the curtain was a tiny space that led to a door marked staff only. If the hanger rack hadn't been moved, I had no idea this was here.
まるで忍者屋敷ね。
Oh, Jesus Christ, Daru. The fuck is wrong with you? Oh my god, clean up a little. Behind the door was a cramped office. Well, no, the room itself may have been pretty big, but the darkness made it feel very cramped. Yeah, a couple of the figures look good, but like the rest, come on. It was honestly hard to breathe. There are desks in the center, surrounded by metal racks. The desks and the floor were piled high with all manners of computers and peripherals. There were boxes and bags littered everywhere. I couldn't tell if they were trash or not. There are towers of magazines, games, plastic models, and figure boxes, and the desk was covered in garbage like the one at the lab. It was too dark to tell, but I was sure the figures he had on display were covered in dust. You want to fucking clean them? And what did he need 6 monitors for anyway? Each of them displayed an image of the store. Evidently, it was footage from a security camera. Given the size of the store and the lack of customers, even 3 cameras would have been too many.
ま、適当に座って。
座れる場所なんてないぞ。
今スペース作るを。
Daru kicked aside the boxes on the floor to make room and then sat down at 2 folding chairs.
お前、この店とはどういう関係なんだ？
バイトリーダーみたいなもんかな。結構こういうアングラな店のバイト掛け持ちしてるんだよね。でさ、たまに事務所を個人的に使わせてもらってるわけ。
裏のバイトのためにか？
そういうこと。
Maybe there was a lot more to Daru than I
こ
thought.
こにあるものは全部お前の私物か？
いや、他のバイトのみんなとの共有財産的なやつ。さすがにこんなにたくさん買えるほどお金持ってないし。
おう。
Okay, the figure next to his head, good lord, is that pulling all of my attention. What the fuck's wrong with people? Come on now. Too lewd. Stop it. Or so he said, but who knew if that was true?
Huh?
Oh, fucking, no, we're saving. No, fuck, save over this. Oh, do I answer it? Oh, fuck. Okay, so the problem with this, I'm gonna just leave it pause. The problem with answering this is gonna lead everyone, if they're tracking Amadeus, to whether to where Daru is. If I answer it. Which could indirectly lead to him getting fucked. And we wouldn't know what's wrong with Kurisu's stuff. Or what's on there. He'd get raided. So let's ignore the phone call.
なんだ？
Or I just don't get a fucking option.
あんたまだ真帆先輩と一緒よね。
God fucking damn it.
おう。一緒だが。
Here I was giving a logical explanation of why I wasn't going to answer the phone. And it doesn't matter.
どうかしたの？
レスキネン教授からたった今聞いたんですが、和光市のオフィスが何者かに荒らされたって。
え？
あと真帆先輩のホテルからも連絡が来て、そっちも誰かに侵入されたみたいです。
Jesus.
なんですって？
すぐにレスキネン教授からも連絡があるはずですけど、少しでも早く知らせた方がいいと思って。
ありがとうクリス。ヒアジョーさんのことは俺とダルで見てるから。
そうね。頼むわ。それじゃ。
Ma looked out at bitter lip.
懸念していたことが現実になったな。狙いは間違いなくクリスのノート PC とハードディスクだ。
え、マジで？
場所を変えた方がいいかもしれない。
ここは安全だと思うけど。
Not
なんとなく
now.
嫌な予感がするんだ。勘みたいなものだ。
わかったお。
それでノート PC とハードディスクはどこに？
Daru sighed and grabbed a locked, fire-resistant case off one of the racks. He opened it. Is that where he hid it? The laptop was a deep red Japanese model with a 12-inch LCD screen. The hard drive was American, from a brand known for equipping its hard drives with a shock-resistant rubber case.
それを持って急いで出よう。
Both Maruho and Daru sighed gently, silently. As soon as we left the building, I could see a car coming down the empty alleyway. It was a big American RV. We quickly hid ourselves in the shadow of another building. My intuition was right. The RV stopped in front of the building we just left. 3 men came out. None of them were Japanese. They were all dressed in black suits, almost like MIBs. What's an MIB? Men in Black, an American urban legend. It said they're secret government agents who appear without warning before UFO witnesses or researchers to put a stop to their activities. It is not known whether any such secret agency actually exists. The name comes from the fact that they dress all in black and wear black sunglasses. A movie of the same name, based loosely on the urban legend, helped popularize the idea. Yeah, just a little. Whatever they weren't Akihabara. Whatever they weren't Akihabara tourists.
間一髪だったな。
Maho went pale when she saw the men go into the building. She seemed to be shaking a little too.
まるで 映画の世界だわ。
でもさ、あの連中は店の情報どうやって入手したんだろう。
ダルがヘマしたんじゃないのか。
僕を誰だと思ってる？
スーパーハッカーだろ。
ハッカーな。足はつかないように注意してるっつうの。
または俺とヒヤジョーさんが尾行されてた可能性もあるが。
怖いこと言わないでよ。
和光市のオフィスやホテルだって荒らされたんだ。ヒヤジョーさんがずっとマークされていたのは間違いない。
あ、そうだわ。
Maho seemed to be suddenly remembering something. She took out her smartphone and made a
教
call.
授に連絡しないと。
今日はどこかに身を隠すと伝えておいた方がいい。教授と合流すると教授にまで危険が及ぶかもしれない。
Maho nodded. Yeah, I'd go to Ferris's place. Rintaro took Maho to Ferris Nyan-Nyan's house. It was on the top floor of a high-rise building in the center of Akihabara. If nothing else, it was sure to be more secure than the ancient building they'd just been in. Ferris welcomed the two of them, offering them food and a place to sleep. Dora returned alone to the future gadget lab to meet up with Suza.
このノート PC は存在するだけで災いを呼ぶだろう。
There's only one extra room. I'll be sleeping in Ferris's
手
room.
放した方がいい。
Have fun. Once they'd both calmed down, she started to talk to him about what they were going to do with Curse's computer. He didn't budge an inch. Usually he was an introvert who never pushed too hard for anything, but this time he was extremely stubborn. Of course, so was Maho.
せめてロックを解除して中身について確かめたいわ。
It's
今
not
のところ
worth it.
それもできずに手詰まりだけれど。
そんな悠長なことを言っている場合じゃない。
Yeah.
今すぐ手放すべきだ。一番いいのはこの場で破壊することだが。
Put a fucking drill to both of the hard drives. Absolutely destroy it.
破壊するって、これはクリスの形見でもあるのよ。
Yeah, and they want to take it from us.
君はもう少しロジカルな人間だと。
私はあなたがそんな冷たい人だとは思わなかった。
It's not about sentimentality, it's about starting World War III. Ma's words made him flinch. Something bad had happened to him. That's how it seemed to her. And it was easy to assume that it had something to do with Kurisu. So she decided to ask him what she hadn't gotten to earlier, during the fuss this afternoon.
あなたはクリスの事件について何か隠しているように見えるのだけれど。
俺の知ってることなんてどうでもいいような話だ。
Maho could tell he wasn't going to share. If they hadn't been interrupted this afternoon, would he have told her?
それよりこの PC をどうするかだ。これはもう友達の形見なんていう私的なレベルのものじゃない。国家規模での争奪戦を引き起こす代物なんだ。
一体どんな陰謀論よ。
I wish it was just a theory.
この後に及んで陰謀論だと言い張るのか。君も見ただろう、あの黒服の外国人たちを。君の通うオフィスも寝泊まりしているホテルも荒らされた。クリスの自宅だって放火された。その放火事件の後、君の研究室に FBI を名乗る前にホテルの駐車場で襲われたことだって、もしかしたら関連があるかもしれない。普通なら絶対に遭遇しないような出来事が立て続けに起きている。
Yeah, you can't ignore that now.
だからって国家規模だなんて。
The whole thing just seemed like too much of a stretch for her. Trying to connect every single event was a trap that conspiracy theorists often fell into. But in fact, most things that happened didn't really mean anything. When she began to tell him that, what he said next surprised her.
事態はこの先、ジョン・タイターの予言通りに進むだ。
ジョン・タイター？
Maho had never heard of that name before.
10年前にアメリカのネット掲示板に現れた人物だよ。俺はそいつが本物だと知っている。会ったこともある。
Yeah, she's actually really cute, by the way.
ジョン・タイターによれば、2015年には第三次世界大戦が起きる。
Thank God we passed
その
that.
原因はタイムマシンだ。
バカにしているの？
至って真面目だ。中鉢博士のことを知りたがっていたな。奴はクリスの父親だ。中鉢論文にはクリスが関わっていた可能性がある。
Possible.
なんですって。
Maho had read Dr. Nakabachi's paper out of curiosity. Last summer, he'd proudly announced his paper on time travel to the entire world just before fleeing to Russia. The paper itself, however, was so poorly written that it was of no value whatsoever. She couldn't believe that Kurisu might have been involved in writing it.
論文は劣化版で、もしもクリス自身が書いたオリジナルが存在するとしたら、
That's something she'd do. Knowing he'd steal the paper.
クリスの残したノート PC とポータブルハードディスク。ただ、それを手に入れたがっている連中がいるんだ。
ちょっと待って。少し整理させて。
Yeah, we only have a limited amount of time. Could what Rintaro was saying be true? She took a moment to think. Normally, she wouldn't give something like this a second thought. But what had happened around her lately wasn't just normal. She couldn't outright deny it. Besides, she was nursing a conspiracy theory of her own.
私もこの PC が狙われているかもしれないという予感はしていたのよ。ただ、あなたの話は私の予想とはあまりにもかけ離れすぎていて。
予想とは？
アマデウスの軍事転用のことじゃないかと考えていたの。
Could be all the above.
軍事転用？
クリスは精神生理学研究所にもよく出入りしていたんだけど、時々場違いな連中がそこにやってくるって言ってたの。
One of the labs at Victor Kronji University, while the Brain Science Institute attempts to understand the process behind thought and memory by examining the systems used by the brain itself. The psychophysiology lab's goal are more medical in nature. They develop new medical treatments by researching the biological and physical effects caused by the mind's workings. The lab's research covers a wide range, including perception, recognition, reflexes, learning, sleep, alcohol addiction, and schizophrenia.
どうも国防総省の人じゃないかって。
Good old DOD. United States Department of Defense. It's also known as the Pentagon, due to the shape of the building it's located in. It's really creative to call it the Pentagon. It's America's most high-level defense agency, responsible for controlling the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Yeah, it's fucking massive.
アマデウスで人を殺せるのか？どうやって？
例えば百戦錬磨のパイロットから記憶データをコピーして無人戦闘機の制御に使うとか。
See, that makes more sense to me. Like, that's more logical to use, like, instead of, like, making a bunch of, like, you know, super soldiers or whatever. Like, doing that is way more, like, obvious of what I would do.
あと以前話した医療への応用覚えてる？
人間の脳へ記憶データを書き戻すってやつかな。
そう。記憶データを修正した上で書き戻しが可能になれば、恐怖を感じない兵士やどんな非道な任務でも平然と遂行する部隊なんていう恐ろしいものまで作れてしまう。私はてっきりクリスがそういった実験の証拠を偶然知ってしまったんじゃないかと思っていたの。
なあ、アマデウスの研究には米軍が関与していたりはしないよな。
するわけないでしょ。
本当にそう言い切れるか？君はあくまで研究者であってプロジェクトの総責任者じゃない。
レスキネン教授だって軍に関与なんてさせないわ。
だよな。あれは別の世界線の話だし。
世界線？何のこと？
Oh, God.
いや、忘れてくれ。俺の考えすぎだと思う。
He hadn't seemed like he'd really meant that, and that really bothered her. She wanted to hear more about John Teeter, but he didn't tell her anything else. Since she couldn't crack the security on Kurisu's laptop and hard drive, it did Maho no good to carry them. Just like Rentaro said, these attackers scared her, so she decided she had no choice but to give them to him. He didn't tell her whether he was going to destroy them or not. I think he should.
Maho, 無事でよかった。
When she arrived at their office in Wako City, Dr. Leskinen was already there. He came over and gave her a big hug.
教授、苦しい。
おう、すまない。ははは。
She hadn't heard that the office had been ransacked, but whatever she'd heard that it had been ransacked, but whatever had happened had already been cleaned up.
教授が片付けたんですか？
荒らされたと言っても、もともと私と魔法しか使っていなかったわけだし、荷物、あとは警察に任せてある。
2 days had passed since the office had been ransacked. Maho had spent both of them at Ferris's home, and only today had she gone in touch with Leskinen and gone to Wako City to get her things. They were both going back tomorrow just as planned. That meant they were going to say goodbye to this office.
犯人はまだ捕まっていないんですよね。
ああ。日本に来てから災難続きだな。
ですね。
The two of them looked around the empty office. It'd been too busy 2 months.
魔法はどうだったかな。日本はもう一つの故郷でもあるわけだろ。
早く大学に戻って研究に打ち込みたいですね。この2ヶ月資料をまとめてばかりだった気がするので。
魔法は真面目だね。
それとクリスが最後の時間を過ごしたこの国の空気を感じることができたのは良かったです。
魔法。
But she still hadn't figured out why Kurisuda had died. Actually, she had even more questions now. It bothered her to go home with so many questions left unanswered. If only Rentaro had told her everything he knew.
そういえば
The thought suddenly occurred to Maho.
アマデウスのテスターの件はどうします？
Of course, she meant Okabe Rentaro. If both Maho and Leskinen were heading back to America, that meant that his time as a tester was over.
そうだね。
For some reason, the professor was taking a moment to think it over. She wondered what there was to think about.
テスターはこのまま続けてもらおうと思っているんだ。
Yeah, that's what I assumed. I just assumed he was thinking, like, what's the point of, like, you know, bringing him in here, deleting everything? Just let him just fucking continue talking to her.
え？
Why
本
not?
気ですか？
実際レンタロウと話すことでクリスはこれまでにないような反応をして見せているだろう。
I mean, it's not like you can drag him back to America with you.
今後は彼だけでなくもっと多くのテスターを使っていきたいとも考えているところだし。
セキュリティの面で不安があるのでは？
Probably.
アメリカと日本だと離れすぎていて何かトラブルが起きた時に対処できません。
大丈夫さ。私はレンタロウを信じているからね。
いや、信じるとか信じないという話ではなくてですね。
それにテストを継続すれば魔法だって定期的にレンタロウと連絡を取れるよ。
私は関係ないでしょう。
そうかい？
そうですよ。
では今後のレンタロウとの連絡は
別に構いませんよ。
I would love just to have Dr. Leskinen be my supervisor. I'd love that. Hell yeah. It seemed like he wasn't telling her something, but she was too embarrassed to question him further. It surprised her, though, that he was so focused on Rentaro. He seemed to have been taking a real liking to him ever since they had first met. Did he simply like the guy, or was it because he was Kurisu's friend? Or was it something else? She didn't know. I like him. The next day, Maho and Dr. Leskinen returned to America via Narita Airport, just like they'd planned. I swear to God, if Rhea shoots him. Rentaro had come to see them off, and he was very surprised when Dr. Leskinen told him he could continue being a tester. Thank you, Leskinen. And then a half a year passed. Oh, okay. Time skip. Gehenna's stigma. Victor Crondi University grounds were dead quiet. It was after 11 p.m. Some of the labs worked all night and into the morning, so the place wasn't completely abandoned, but compared to the daytime, it was quiet. The lights in the halls were off, and it was a little scary walking down them alone. Maho lived in the researchers' apartments next to the lab. She'd been thinking about so many things that night, her head felt like it was going to explode. Then she looked out the window and realized that the lights were still on in the brain science lab. Dr. Leskinen must have been working late. She decided to put some coffee in a thermos and take it to him.
そもそもなんで私はタイムマシンの研究なんかに没頭しているのかしら。
Ever since she'd come back from Japan in January, she'd spent all her free time on it. Even she had to admit she was getting obsessed. Of course, since this wasn't something she could research in public, and since she couldn't let it interfere with her real job, she had to do it all of it on her own at night. As a result, she was staying up late battling with physics textbooks. An unfamiliar subject to her, exhaustion and a lack of sleep were starting to get to her. The whole idea of a time machine was stupid. She still thought so, but she was surprised at how desperate she was getting.
それもこれも岡部さんのせいよ。
What Okabe had said to her in Japan stuck with her.
中鉢論文にはクリスが関わっていた可能性がある。
Rentaro could have been lying or were wrong or simply delusional. But part of her wanted to believe it was real. Of course, from what she'd seen of Dr. Nakabachi's paper, she didn't want to believe that Kurisu was involved. It was just that bad. But
論文は劣化版で、もしもクリス自身が書いたオリジナルが存在するとしたら。
If she could have written it off as a slim possibility, everything would have been much easier. But it was just like her, she thought, to be unable to do that. I want to find out what Kurisu found. That desire was what drove her to action. The more research she did, the harder it seemed. It was so hard that she was starting to lose faith in what she wanted to believe. Her usual complex started weighing down on her.
クリス、私、やっぱりあなたにはなれない。
Kurisu was a dear friend, but at the same time, she was starting to feel jealous, frustrated, and hateful. And when all those feelings started going around in her mind, there was no way she could focus on work. It was time to chat with Dr. Leskinen for a little, and then go to sleep. She headed over to the lab.
教授?
Yeah, Maho.
Dr. Leskinen seemed surprised at her sudden visit, but he stood up from his chair and welcomed her.
どうしたんだいこんな夜中に。子供はもう寝る時間だよ。
その言葉、そっくりそのままお返しします。
違いない。
I love Leskinen. Leskinen laughed innocently like a child at her cutting remark.
私の部屋から明かりが見えたものですから。これ、どうぞ。
The cup on Leskinen's desk was empty. She poured him some coffee from the thermos. It wasn't the sickly sweet coffee that she liked. She'd made it straight black to match the professor's taste. The room was filled with steam and a pleasant smell.
これは驚いた。魔法がカフェをご馳走してくれるとは。
Who replaced my assistant with someone nice?
私だってこのくらいの気は利きますよ。
でも君はこういうのが嫌いだった。あれは確か君がこの研究所に来た最初の日だったかな。メリーがみんなにモーニングカフェを配って回っていたら、君はそれを断って こう言ったじゃない。あなたはカフェを入れるためにここに勤務しているのですか？その時間があったら早く仕事を始めてはどうですとね。いやすごい子が来たものだと驚かされたよ。
Jesus.
そんな古い話今さら持ち出さなくてもいいじゃないですか。
Ma's cheeks swelled in embarrassment.
あの頃は天才少女とか言われてちょっといい気になってたというか、ちゃんと反省はしています。
Mary was another scientist at the lab after Maho had apologized. They'd gone on to be friends.
本当に教授は意地悪ですね。もう二度とコーヒーなんて持ってきませんから、そのつもりで。
I'm sure you won't. Just as she was thinking of taking the coffee she'd poured back.
そうですよ教授、あんまり先輩をいじめないであげてください。
Oh, hey, Kurisu. She heard a voice from Dr. Luskin's computer.
あらクリス。
はい私です。
ちょうど彼女のプログラムの検証中だったんだ。
I mean, not even. I'd be if I had developed a fucking AI like that, I'd be constantly having her on. She moved around to where she could see the monitor, and sure enough, the Kurisu CG model was displayed on it.
こんばんは先輩。
こんな時間までご苦労様。
Ma chuckled to herself. Kurisu was just a program running on a computer, but still, she couldn't stop herself from saying things like that. After all the time they'd spent together, Kurisu was no different than a human to her.
別に私は魔法をいじめてるわけじゃないよ。
I'm just telling her how it is.